So I'm with you. I hope we never get in that position. Yeah.
Everybody ready?
Ready.
You ready, Miss Morgan? I want to welcome everybody. I'd like to call this meeting to order at this time, the July 3rd, 2018. Official time 6 o'clock. I need approval of the agenda. Before we go that, we have a request to add approval of a new contract for probation supervisory services with GPM as new business on number 5. If that's all right with the board, I need a motion.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion. We have a second.
Second.
Second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you very much. Our invocation and pledge tonight, Jeffrey Pelkey with our water sewer superintendent will be doing that. We thank you.
Good evening. Thank you. Let's pray. Father, we just thank you for this beautiful day you blessed us with, Father. And Lord, we just come before you this evening. Lord, we ask for your guidance, your direction, your wisdom, Father, to make the right decisions, Father, for this county. And Lord, we just pray a blessing upon our employees as we celebrate the 4th tomorrow, Father God. We ask that you just bring everyone safely back to work on Thursday morning, Father. And once again, we just thank you for all your goodness toward us, Lord. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jeff.
We have 2 items tonight on our planning and zoning. With every planning and zoning, if you're here in opposition or oppose one of these items, you will have an opportunity to come forward. And this time, Mr. Petrowski, you want to present our first item?
Chairman, this is a request by Wayne and Jill Hoffman. They've requested to have an accessory dwelling unit allowed on their property. They have a recreational vehicle that want to set up in an existing covered space in their backyard. Planning Commission has recommended approval of this request.
Any question for Mr. Petrowski? Anybody here opposed to this request? If none, I'll entertain a motion.
So move, Chairman.
We have a motion approved. We have a second. Second. Any more discussion? If none, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Chairman, item B is a request by Tim Keeney to allow a second home on a lot that is served by an existing private road. You may recall last year that this board approved Mr. Keeney approval for a substandard private road to be located off of Graham Road, and that private road was to serve 3 lots. It's a very good condition private road, concrete drive, and had to relocate a small portion of the driveway, which he's done. You're allowed 1 home per lot, and in this case, Mr. Keeney wants to add a second home to his existing lot to care for an aged family member. Because this is a variance, Planning Commission does not make a recommendation.
All right, we're going forward. Is anybody here in opposition or opposed to this request? So raise your hand. No one's opposed to this request? Lord, have we got a...
Chairman, we heard this some time back, and I think the applicant has fulfilled all the obligations that we asked. Plenty of land to do what he's needing to do, so I make a motion we approve it.
We have a motion approved. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any more discussion? If none, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you, Mr. Petrowski. We move on to board appointments. We have District 1 Zoning Appeals and Adjustment Board appointment to complete the term ending March 15th, 2021. Mr. Kitchens, have you got, is this yours?
It is, and what page am I on, Ms. Moore?
14 through 15.
Get me straight. We only have one.
We only have one.
Well, that makes it very easy then. Yeah, I've looked at this application. I think it'd be a great person for the job. I'll make the recommendation that we accept his application.
We have a motion to accept the application. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. Any more discussion? If none, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you very much. We have appointment Jones County Committee meeting to the MATS Macon Area Transportation. This is a study for Citizens Advisory Committee. Then we had 2 applications.
We did. We have a Sandra Harris. She's a resident in that district, and we have a Tim Ingram. He's also a resident in that district.
open up for conversation, the questions for the board, if any, recommendation. Y'all had an
Yeah.
opportunity to look at this?
One is in the packet, one is a handout.
I will say, Chairman, and I am happy to see that we have people applying for positions on boards and showing the interest in the community pride that we've been talking about. That's an awesome issue to have to decide between some people wanting to serve on boards. So, okay.
I agree, it's nice, and we encourage everybody to participate, be involved. We've got a great crowd here tonight, which is great.
I got a question, Mr. Chairman.
Sure.
I know we had some other vacancies, and I'm just curious, District 4, we have somebody rolling off later this year, is that right?
I believe so.
Is that on the tax appeals? I can't remember what's on it.
What's that? The tax assessors.
Do you know the date by any
That
chance?
sheet that you handed out.
I know you emailed it to us. And the reason why I'm asking, folks, we have two great people I think that'll fit. I think this particular board lends itself to the engineering aspect, and I would like to see the citizen on the other board if possible. But if the citizen has a strong interest in doing this one, I'm okay either way.
Is the young lady here?
Ms. Harris here.
I believe that's Sunset Harris's wife.
Yeah. You want to reach out to her and see if she would be interested in?
We'll go based on what the board says.
Sure.
We all know Tim, and we know many of us know what this board is about. And I think the engineering aspect kind of fits well. And if that other slot is open, I'd rather place her there. That would be my opinion. But,
Sure.
based on what the board decides to do tonight, it may be a moot issue.
Sure. Thoughts?
Fine with that.
I would agree with that 100%.
All right.
Yeah. I think she-
With that being said, do you want to put it in a form of motion and call Ms. Harris and see if she'd be interested in?
I sure will. All right. I move that Tim Ingram be accepted for the MATS board, which is CAC, right?
Citizens Advisory.
Yeah, CAC. And then we give the other opening that's coming available for District 4 to Ms. Harris.
All right.
Second.
All right, we have a second. Any more discussion? None? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you very much. Tonight we have a consent agenda and approval for the minutes. We have the third Tuesday, June 19th, 2018, and executive session on June 19th, 2018. If you've had opportunity to look at that, so I need a motion to approve.
So move.
Have a motion approved. We have a second.
Second.
Second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you. We have some visitors tonight. You ready? Ms. Martha Branson, a resident of Jones County, regarding residents of Listening Hill subdivision and Crystal Forest subdivision.
Good evening, gentlemen
Good evening.
and lady. I should have said lady first. I am Martha Branson, and I'm a 43-year resident of Joycliff Circle, Jones County, and proudly have done so. But anyway, we come before you, I think, with a matter that you were familiarized with at the last meeting by our good friend and one of my dear neighbors, Mr. Bub Lister. We have a problem on Joycliff Circle, and I have come here to present to you a petition of a number of people who live in the general area. We seem to have objection to the fact that due and absolute necessary licenses have not been obtained for some of the things that he is building. But anyway, I want to read the petition, and I want to ask everybody who are signatories on this petition to please stand. And then at a later time, if they have any questions and or comments, I understand that it will be in perfect order later on.
Sure.
But the petition reads as follows. The following residents of the Joycliff Circle area in parentheses, Listening Hill subdivision and Crystal Forest subdivision, do hereby respectfully submit our names and addresses in reference to the structure presently being built on the 3.79 acre tract known as 176 Joycliff Circle. It is not in compliance with our R1 zoned area. And I will present these to Mrs. Tyson.
Commissioner Martin, can I hand this to you? Or do you want me to hand this to her?
Sure.
Okay.
I figured that street split our district, so we'd both be
Is this
keenly
yours,
in
or is this your side or Mr. Cummings?
it might be his
It's
because
yours?
it's in my backyard though, literally.
Oh, okay.
Yes, it is.
I've been out to the house, I promise you.
Right.
Okay, but you will notice, gentlemen and Mrs. Tyson, that I have dated all of the pages, and some of the names there are more names on some pages than there are on others, and in addition, I have dated them all today, which is the eve of our celebrating our country's independence. And bottom line, I just want to emphasize that in planning and zoning and in all matters, we don't want Jones County to have the reputation of people coming here, buying property, and doing whatever they want. That must not happen. And my main objection, this gentleman has been to see me 2 or 3 times, and I think he's very mad, very angry with me that that I wasn't charmed by his charm, but I told him that my objections are that I want everybody in our county to abide by the rules, regulations, and laws of our county. There's too much unlawfulness going on, and if we have laws, let's abide by them. And this is different from anything that has happened in our area ever before that I recall.
I feel very comfortable, Tim Petrowski does a very good job, and he follows the letter of the law on everything he does, and I feel very comfortable that Tim will take the necessary steps to see that this is done properly, and he'll have the board support on any decisions that he makes as far as going forward.
I also attached at the very back some pictures that somebody gave me, and then Mr. Van Fleet has Northfleet. I keep trying to change their name, but I love you just the same. But anyway, there's a picture of the cross that is being built, and the main objection to me, a cross is holy and sacred.
Yes.
And should be reserved for churches. I know that people put up decorations at Christmas and Easter, but he's intentionally putting this, and it looks to me, I may be wrong, it looks to me that he's put them within the bounds of what the county owns.
Yes, ma'am.
In other words, too close to the road, especially the cross.
Sure.
But do you see the pictures that?
Yes, ma'am, we'll look at it.
And I actually rode by there today too.
I'm glad you did.
And is Tim still here?
Yeah.
Tim, not to put you on the spot, but you got just a minute to comment on.
Tim, I'd like for you to address the situation with this many people that are here for it.
Sure. First, about the cross, I'm not prepared to address that. I prefer to speak to our county attorney before
Sure.
I have opinion on that. As far as the structure that's under construction, we don't limit the size of a single-family dwelling. This house is around 5,500, 5,600 square feet. I believe it's 6 bathrooms. I don't know how many bedrooms are in it, but we don't regulate any of that. So we have permitted this as a single-family dwelling. It came to light today that a portion of this dwelling has not been permitted. They started an addition without a permit, notified the owner. He came in today, paid for his building permit and for the penalty for not having a permit. and I'm waiting for confirmation from the health department before I go ahead and issue the building permit for the addition. Again, that would all be within compliance with our regulations. The only problem is that he didn't have a permit, and so he was charged a penalty for not acquiring that. Part of my first inspection, as I mentioned last week, I noticed that there was 3 kitchens in this home, and notified the owner that he would need to remove 2 of the kitchens. And by remove, I mean take the plumbing out of the wall. One of the areas, he's asked if he can place a laundry sink in that area due to the handicapped accessible suite that they have on this home. And I've said that he can place a laundry sink there, but it won't be allowed to be a kitchen. And that's where we stand with the structure. It has not been sheetrocked yet. It has not been insulated. So we're months away from knowing the final disposition of this structure. If he gets all done with it and decides to convert it into some kind of group home or something like that, that would require zoning approval. We'd have to go through a public hearing process, which would notify all of these people that there's a change in the use of the property. But we don't define what a family is, as long as it's one housekeeping unit and it's not some kind of for-profit venture, then we would not be able to regulate who he actually has in the house.
Sure. Thank you for explaining that.
Chairman, if we could, if anyone else has questions for Mr. Petrowski pertaining to this?
I got one, Chairman. Real quick, so we don't, yes, sir. You like to come forward and state your name?
This would be a short question. Good afternoon. My name is John Samuel Northleaf III. I live at 205 Joy Cliff Circle. My wife and I have lived there for well over 30 years. Our concern, and I will be blunt and short, is that this property is not turned into a group home of some type. We have raised our sons, and most of the people here have raised their sons and daughters in that neighborhood. Our grandchildren are now coming back.
Sure.
And we are afraid that this place will be turned into something other than a single-family dwelling within the definitions that the director here said. So those are our concerns. The other concern is this outhouse or a guard shack. I don't know which one. When I first saw it, I'm a Vietnam veteran serving in the United States Marine Corps. The only rig I saw like this in Vietnam, the Korean Marines had it. The other instance where I saw a house this frame of this nature was when I worked for the Department of Corrections. It was guard shack. The only other time I saw one, the next time I saw one was an outhouse. So in my mind, this is either an outhouse, a guard shack, or something of that nature. I'm very concerned. It's unsightly. It's taken away from the demeanor of the neighborhood. I'm also a pastor. The cross that he's constructed, we have heard songs of the old rugged cross, but not of a crooked cross. This cross is crooked. It's not well laid. It will blow down, if not blow into someone. So I don't know what he's planning, but it seems like he's snubbing his nose and taking the good faith of this gentleman and this council for granted. And we are not going to be taken for granted. And that's not going to happen in our neighborhood.
Yes, sir.
And I cease what I have to say, but trust me, we're not going to have it.
Yes, thank you very much. I'll assure you, Mr. Petrowski is going to do everything, make everything done exactly like it's supposed to. I'll take one more quick, this young lady here, and then.
Yes, sir. My name is Jane James. I'm Mark James's mother.
James.
James.
Yeah.
James.
Double James.
James, okay.
Okay? I'm Mark James's mother.
Yes.
I'm listening to what the people are saying. This is a single-family home that he is going to have a, she's not able. He made a sort of a suite for this disabled lady. I will be living in the home, as well as his daughter and his son and his grandson. Okay, I'm listening to all this. Now, as far as the cross, I'm not up to date about the cross, so I can't speak on the cross. But I can speak that Mark had told me, he said, Mom, God has blessed me so much. Mark was in a accident 2004. He was in a coma with a brain hemorrhaging. He came out of that. I helped him to get on his feet. He was left with a child to take care of while he was in the wheelchair. Okay? So he felt that God has blessed him with this, so he wanted to name his house the Agape House, meaning love. It's not a commune. It's not a group home. And I'm here to address you that it's not a group home and it's not a commune. It is a family home. Now, if one thinks it's too big, well, that's on them. You know, one can make their house as big as they want it to be. You know, I don't know, I recently moved here, so I don't know, you know, the problem. I don't know too much about Jones County, but I did live with Mark when he lived on Joy Cliff, and that was in 2004. He owned a home on Joy Cliff, and I lived there with him to take care of him and his son, my grandson. So I don't understand, you know, where all this is coming from, other than to me, it's a little jealousy. Mark is a disabled, he's a, well, I'm not.
He is a crook. My backyard is built on the bank.
Excuse me, this young lady's got the floor. Like I said, we're not gonna let this meeting get out of hand. Please respect everybody's time.
I don't know, I know I lived on Joy Cliff. I took care of my son and my grandson, and that was in 2004, I think. I might be, you know, wrong, but I think around that time. I know I had lost another son, and I had lost my mother, so my dates could be mixed up. But anyway, this is a single-family home, and that's all I want to address.
Yeah.
As far as the cross, I don't know about the cross and the meaning of that, because yes, the cross is sacred. You know, the old rugged cross. Okay, I am a child of God. I know that I've been saved, and I look at the cross, at the hills for my strength. Now, I don't know what Mark's reasoning for the cross, but I would definitely ask him.
He's on
his way. He had a doctor's appointment today. He and the lady that he takes care of. He did have an appointment. And I don't know if he's here or not. I don't know, but I know he's en route. And I wanted to be here. And I'm glad I was here. And Mark was not here.
Sure.
You know.
We can assure everybody that Mr. Petrowski will do everything to make sure this project goes forward in a legal manner by the book.
Exactly.
And that's the main thing we're asking for. And we have full confidence that, you know, that Mr. Petrowski can make sure this happens. Anybody else on the board, any comment?
I had a question for Tim. Tim, what constitutes a single family? I know you talked about three kitchens, was obviously more than a single family dwelling. Is there any other standards like, obviously it wouldn't matter how many bedrooms, but does a bathrooms play into a factor, or how many houses outside not attached to the house or anything like that?
A single-family dwelling is basically one housekeeping unit. You could have a house with 5 kitchens in it, but at some point the whole family comes together. So maybe there's only one dining room or something causes it to be one unit. The easiest component to eliminate in this situation is the kitchen. They've got to come down to the primary area, and you have that communication between the family taking place in the house. So you have to have all the components And so typically a bathroom and bedroom and a kitchen, well, now I've got a dwelling unit. One of those components needs to go away. So if they take the bathroom out of an area, okay. Or if they take the kitchen out of an area, okay. So they have this area above the garage. And when I go up there are bedrooms, there is a kitchen, there is a bathroom. It feels like I'm in an apartment. So something's got to go away from that area. Either the bathroom, kitchen, or the bedrooms. The easiest component to go away from me was the kitchen in this situation. So that's what I requested to be removed from that area.
Thank you, Mr.
Commissioner Martin?
Mr. Chairman, after the the last meeting, and Tim explained that, because his house is literally in my backyard, I drove around the corner to view it. The son, Tyler, and the other guy was there working on the house, so they let me in, and I walked around. And I can tell you, as I explained to them, why I'm here, because here is what our zoning officer has explained to us. And I told the son, one glaring issue for me is when I look through the front door, I'm looking through the back door, which is on the interior of the house, through an exterior door. So then I walk through the exterior door and I'm in this other space and I see the kitchen and I saw the bathrooms and I saw the other room. And then I look up and I see the soffit that has been boxed in, which tells me there was one dwelling, then a second dwelling. Then I turned and I looked at the back of the house and I saw the exterior of the house. Then I turned and looked at the front of this house and I saw the exterior of that house. So again, as a licensed real estate broker, I'm walking into two dwellings. So I saw the kitchen and saw the other space. And I explained to him why I was there again and what the issue was. And at that time, Mark had called and I got a chance to talk with Mark. And I said, Mark, you're going to have to remove the kitchens like Tim had explained to you. He says, yeah, we're going to take care of all of that and we're going to be okay. And I said, are you permitted for all of this? And he said, yes. So it's good to know that if he was out of compliance, he got in compliance. What's the timing on removal of the kitchen plumbing?
Before the structure sheetrocked.
Okay.
I won't approve the framing inspection until the plumbing's been removed.
So just for us, how long is that process? Is that until he gets the electrical and the plumbing in, or is it?
Yeah, it's up to him.
Okay, it's up to him, so this could take forever.
It could. He told me today he was in my office at 5 o'clock and that the electrician was just finishing up and that he should be ready for a framing inspection.
Okay. And the reason why I ask it, because I don't want people to have further anxiety, and I don't want people to think that something is going to be slid under the carpet. And folks, I speak to this as the guy who was denied the group home application, okay? So I applied for group home applications at my house, which is in his backyard on 16 acres, and I was denied by this body. So it is what it is. But I went there to make sure that we're following the law, because at the very essence of it, I'm not going to vote for something that's against the law, and definitely not against a real estate principle that I'm held to that same standard, okay? I'm excited that we are on it, and I hope that we have a quick response as fast as he gets to that point where we can make the confirmation that he pulls out the kitchen. I'm glad he did share, and you were here to share that, because over the phone he did tell me mom and family members and the care of the other lady. But again, as I inspected it, it looked like a group home. I didn't try to do that at my house, but it looked exactly like that. So I'm glad that you clarified that. So with that being said, please be vigilant and keep us posted. And neighbors, because he called me one day too. Somebody, I guess, went on his property. I think he put up trespassing signs. I don't know that it's legal for us to walk on somebody's property under construction. Is that legal?
I'm not going to answer that.
All right. I just want to make sure, because again, he put up no trespassing signs for a reason, so he's feeling harassed, and I don't want this to turn into something else, guys. Again, we're about to celebrate Independence Day, and we all love to protect our property and our families, and I think Mark would want to do the same. So, thank you.
I know it's in good hands.
If I could just address one other thing.
Sure.
About the
outhouse,
the
bus
outhouse
stop.
car check. He's calling it a bus stop, and we received a complaint, and I sent him a notice of violation to remove the structure. He asked me what his options were, explained to him that he could apply for a variance to the Board of Appeals. The deadline for that application is the 12th, and typically when we have a variance matter pending before the board. I don't take any enforcement action until that's been resolved before the board. So what these people can expect to see is if he turns that application in, one of our orange signs will go up in front of the house. We'll mail out notices to the adjoining property owners, and there will also be an advertisement in the Jones County News. Then that would come to the Board of Appeals, and they would decide whether or not he can have the outhouse.
Do we have any other bus stops in Jones County? Or outside structures? We do?
They're not permitted, but there are several around the county.
Okay, there are bus stops. Okay, I just want to make sure.
No, I mean, private individuals that put something out by the road for their kids.
For the kids, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But like I said, I think it's in good hands. And real quick, we're not trying to drag this on.
As far as the bus stop issue,
Yes, sir.
our school system is excellent. The buses on Joycliff Circle stop in front of the homes.
Yes.
The children walk out of their homes, board the bus. When the bus come back, they stop in front of the individual home and let the children out. At present time, there are probably no more than 2 school-age children on Joycliff Circle because the bulk of them are grown and gone.
Sure.
I do have, my neighbor to my right side has 2 grandchildren. And that same principle applies. I sit in my bedroom window and watch them walk out and get on the bus.
Sure.
When they come back home in the afternoon, the bus stops in front of the home and they get off and walk in the house. So there is no need.
Sure.
For
Y'all,
a bus
y'all will
stop.
have an opportunity when this goes before the Board of Appeals for this group to come and address that. I know everybody wants to be heard, but you will have an opportunity. It's coming to once it comes before the Board of Appeals, you will all have an opportunity to come at that point. You will get notifications from all the neighboring. Tim, can you tell me how that happens?
The adjoining property owners would get a notice from us in the mail, and there would also be an orange sign put up in front of the property. And an ad in Jones County News.
In front of his property, right away, or on his property, not he have to not.
Any property within 200 feet of this subject parcel. So I go all the way around, all 4 acres, and measure over 200 feet, and that's who we mail notice to.
All right. If we can go forward, or something. Real quick, go ahead. Yes, ma'am, real quick. Yes, ma'am. I'm trying to make sure everybody can be heard, but I'm
going to be rather blunt.
Sure.
My name's Marlene Lord. I live at 177 Joycliff Circle, directly in front of this house that's being built. Mr. James has proposed and got a permit to construct a 3,500 square foot house, as we said. He's stating to me that it's 5 bedrooms, 5 baths, 3 kitchens. He didn't apply for anything more than that. How did the second house get built? And it's a separate dwelling. It's connected by a little square
Yes,
room.
ma'am. Tim's already notified that he's checking on that.
Right.
It was, and it's being investigated this time.
It seems like when the inspection was done, it would have been noticed that there's another building, but no permit. Anyway.
Yeah. I mean, that he hadn't asked for his framing inspection. I'm actually a licensed general contractor, and Tim would come out after the foundation is done, once he requires a framing inspection, and he hasn't come out for a framing inspection at that time. It was, I guess your office was notified of the issue, and that's why you went out there on a special call. But I'll assure you, our Tim's handling this. He's doing it by the letter of the law and by the rule.
It's just, I was very surprised today to find out that he only had a permit to build one single-family home for around 3,500 square feet.
And he's already addressed that because he did notify that, he just made a statement a while ago that he found out that a portion of it had not been permitted.
Okay.
Chairman, I think Mr. James is here now.
Yeah, Mr. James is here, so we'll give him an opportunity to come forward.
May I finish?
Yeah, yes, ma'am. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to.
A few years ago, Mr. James began clearing that land of trees and brush. His intent was to build a house at that time. However, when he asked for permission to build, he stated that he was going to build a duplex, and that request was denied. He was told that it is not zoned for a duplex. And I think that the neighborhood is pretty much in agreement that he's trying to do an end run around that regulation and is in fact building a duplex or two separate dwellings. And from past experience, it's my belief that Mr. James is anticipating income from this property, that it's not an altruistic endeavor on his part. He has told me that, I'll address the cross because his mother did not know, but Mr. James told me that the cross is not really affiliated with the church. It's a memorial to a deceased brother, which is an explanation. There will be a plaque on it. So he's not stating that it's a religious statue. And the bus stop, he said that was for the children. But he has told me that on different occasions who might occupy the house. He said he was planning on installing, is not the right word, but letting disabled veterans live there. This disabled lady, she would have her own private suite for a handicapped person. And he mentioned that he was going to have one wing dedicated to his teenagers and his wife. And he had a niece that is almost to deliver her 5th child, and the niece and the children were supposed to live there. But you talk to different people, he has given different information. It does not sound like Mr. James can keep straight what the stories are so that we know exactly what's going to happen. And that school bus stop, I don't have that much objection to. I mean,
Yeah.
if
Ma'am,
there's somebody
I
there.
promise you that we'll do it, make sure
Okay.
everything's,
But-
done by the book.
But now, I think I've named close to 20 people he's saying that he's going to put there.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
at least the disabled vets that he might put there are not family. How's that a single family dwelling? And the disabled lady, we've got a group. It
Yes.
may not be a group home, but we got a group of people.
Yes. And I promise you, we are checking into it, Mr. It's
Okay.
in good hands with Mr. Petrowski, and y'all will be notified.
And I
when
have to bring up Mr. James' character.
Ma'am, before we go in great detail on it, I'm not trying to interrupt you.
Nope,
We
I
got-
understand.
Mr. James is here right
Okay.
now, if it's all right, if you mind, if he comes forward, we will take into consideration all these concerns. We recognize your concern. And I promise you, Mr. Petrowski will be doing everything to make sure everything's done by the book. You will have an opportunity at the Board of Appeals to come up because it's getting ready to go before that. You will be notified so this same group can show up to that Board of Appeals.
Okay, because there are any number of people here who will give testimony as to what his character is.
Absolutely.
Going back to the removal of a lot of trees in the neighborhood.
That's right.
Yes, ma'am.
That everybody
Yes, ma'am.
had very harsh feelings about.
Thank you very
Yes,
much.
I'll yield to this.
Sure. Mr. James, would you like to come forward? I understand you're here now. Mr. James?
Sorry I'm a little late. We had to come from a doctor's appointment in Atlanta. I do apologize. Thank you for your patience. This is Miss Teresa Pate. I'm Mark James. I'm the homeowner of the property in question, 176 Joy Cliff Circle. And these people that are so-called neighbors could have addressed me about any problems or stories that they've heard. For one, I like to address the main story. It's not a halfway house, my home, and it's not a group home. It's a single family residence, okay? Yes, it started out as a 2,500 square foot home, okay? And as I seen the need, there was some attic space that was not being utilized. I mean, I didn't want to waste square footage as with anybody when they're building a home. Sometimes they change the little things here and there. And I addressed them, we addressed them, Mr. Tim addressed them with me, and we took care of those items in question, okay? There is only one family that's going to live in here. This is Miss Teresa Pate. She is on the loan with me. She's a disabled vet. I'm a disabled vet. And yes, there's going to be disabled veterans. That's 2. Disabled veterans is 2 or more. Miss Teresa Pate and myself are the disabled vets that are living there. Okay? We are the homeowners of 176 Joy Cliff Circle. Okay? The children that will be living there, yes, my niece and her, now her fourth child that she's about to deliver, there'll be 4 children. Okay? Most of them have problems. Okay? My son's ADHD. This child is ADD. She has a child that's autistic. I don't see why there should be a problem with children with special
Mr. James, would you
and taken care of.
please address the
I
board?
apologize. There's a
And
curve. There's a
if
curve.
y'all show Mr. James the same courtesy, no outburst.
There is a curve, a very bad curve, just before the property in question. Okay? And coming around the curve is kind of blind. Children, if they were out there on that curve, somebody could lose their bearings or whatever and run into my property, because I own adjacent to the property in question, the lot before it, the lot after it, and the lot behind it. Okay, it's almost 5 acres. Okay, in regards to that bus stop, that's why we put a bus stop there. So the front door to the road curb is 171 feet. Okay, driveway. I don't want them children having to run all the way down, and them, if you know what ADD and ADHD is and autism is, it's about holding your attention. So to make sure that they're safe in the morning, sometimes as early as 6:30 and 7, during certain parts of the year, it's dark outside. You know, I want to make sure the children were safe. Well, yes, I built a bus stop that was clearly off the right of way and clearly on my property. It's totally 50 feet away from the center line of the road, and clearly over 20 feet from the curbside. The original contractor, subcontractor I hired to build the original bus stop, because see, this was the second bus stop actually. The original bus stop was dismantled because Mr. Tim brought it to my attention that there was some complaints. So I felt because it was too close to the road, and I argued with the original subcontractor and he said he knew best. I'm just the client. I should mind what he said. He knows the rules and the laws of zoning.
As far as the bus stop goes, you've got opportunity to go and
I'm
file
filing
appeal for that.
Yes, sir.
We encourage you to do everything by the book.
Yes,
I understand you were up there today. Everybody's concerned. Everybody's got concerns here.
Absolutely.
We need to. Mr. Petrowski's going to do everything. I mean, it needs to be done by the book.
Absolutely.
If our current rules and regulations in this county does not allow it, you've got to go through the appeal process. All these people here in the audience that are concerned can also come to that appeal process.
Absolutely.
But everything has to be done by the book, and that's where the problem came
That's
into.
what I've been doing. And in regards to the cross that everybody is objecting to, I have the problem with. I mean, I thought we have a religious right to freedom in regards to our Constitution. My brother, right here, Alvis Dexter James, was murdered, okay? And that's why I have that cross, and to express the fact that I am a Christian. I am y'all brother in Christ, okay? If you believe in God, that's who I am to you. Your brother in Christ. Just like you're my sister, you're my brother in Christ. If you believe in Christ. This is supposed to be the Bible Belt. I've seen crosses in many yards. Instead of just one, I've seen 2 and 3, you know, especially during the Christmas season. So I don't see why there's such a problem with that, you know, and us uplifting Christ, you know. And I'll uphold to any standards that the law holds, which I don't have a problem with that. And me and Mr. Petrowski have been discussing that, and he's been checking with his people that he needs to check with to see if it's copacetic or not.
Sure.
Okay? As regards to my living habitat, you know, I'm building a single-family residence for my family members and I to live in. I'm a disabled vet. I had an aneurysm, okay, in 2004. I'm supposed to not be here as far as man is concerned. Okay, I'm a disabled veteran that served honorably. Miss Pate served honorably 8 years in the Army. I served in the Navy along with the Marine Corps. I'm a corpsman. Okay, I take care of Miss Pate as a caregiver. We're also housemates, like I said. It takes our 2 incomes to take care of ourselves.
Yeah.
You know.
But
Anyway,
just going forward, we just ask you to do everything by the book. Get your proper, because I understand there was a part of your house that wasn't permitted that you just today took care of that's got to be reviewed. Go through the Board of Appeals on your bus stop. Make sure you do that properly. Everything has to be by the book, and it hasn't been that way. So there is a legitimate concern here was taking place. We appreciate your service to this country, absolutely, all veterans.
But there's no reason for a lynch mob, though. That's what
There's not a lynch mob here, sir, but we're asking that you could, please, everybody, we ask that you do everything by the book. Make sure go through your appeals process, whatever you have to do. But at this point, it hasn't been done properly, and that's where this has arisen. So going forward, make sure everything's done properly. And I'll assure that Mr. Petrowski will only let happen what is legally allowed to happen on this property. If you're legally entitled to it, you'll be legally allowed to have it. If you're not entitled to it, it's all written in black and white in the book.
But that's exactly what it seems like. It's black against white, white against black for some
No.
reason. That's
No,
what it seems like.
no, we're not going there.
The only people protesting this
No.
seems to be all Caucasian people. Why is that? I have been working, first of all, I've been working on this, I've been in ownership of this property for over 10 years. For over 10 years.
Sure.
And I've been working on this property, hand cutting it by my hands with a machete and with a chainsaw, clearing the property myself, okay, for years. And these people know that, they've seen it, okay? So like I said, why the lynch mob, when they could come to me as a good neighbor and explain their
There's not a
differences
lynch
or
mob.
whatever.
Sir, all we're asking you to do is go by the book.
Yes.
I mean, I'm not trying to cut you short, but we
Yes, sir.
need to continue on. The next process is the Board of Appeals, which you'll apply
For my
for.
bus stop, yes, sir.
And you can go Thursday, we'll be back open for business. You can come down and apply that. Everybody in this room will also have the opportunity to come in at that time when they have that appeal hearing and express your concerns. Tonight, this board has heard your issues. We've heard your concerns. All we can do is assure you that everything's gonna be handled by the book going forward. And we ask you to do everything by the book, but that's where this all came from. We appreciate your service to the country. We appreciate what you're doing. Thank you very much. We do have to move on because we've got a pretty long agenda. Any other board members, any comments?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
You got it, all right. You deserve it. You deserve it out of that.
All right, going forward tonight on new business. Miss Tiffany, I think you're up with the Hazardous Waste Trust Fund. Excuse me, if y'all can exit quietly.
Is your microphone working?
You gotta use a gallery.
I'm getting ready to. Help Miss Margie.
And Miss Marty. They're in the hallway. The city and the county are in the hallway. Okay, get in. Yeah, they're right. That's right. The city and the county.
We'll give them a minute to get out.
So then, passionate.
So we're not allowed any more comments? It's done?
You can wait. We've got a citizen comment. We'll give you a couple minutes at the end if you'd like to wait for that. All right. Ms. Davis, are you ready to come forward on your part? Come on, come on right forward so everybody can hear you. We've got a Hazardous Waste Trust Fund resolution and contract agreement. Ms. Tiffany, would you like to present that?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Bringing you some awesome
Use your
news.
microphone.
Bringing you some great news tonight. A while back, I come before you and said that the Hazardous Waste Trust Fund with EPD could do I need to wait?
We might.
Hey, close that door right there.
Yeah, they got the sheriff and the sheriff and the police officer, the great police.
Leave one of them open.
Yeah.
Well, you know Butch is watching it, so I figured he probably said, oops.
Yeah. We gotta leave one open.
We gotta leave one open. There you go. Leave that one open because I can't hear. Close that one and crack that one. Now, that background noise kills me.
Huh?
Huh? Thank you.
Okay, we'll go again. A couple of months back, I came before you and said that up under the Hazardous Waste Trust Fund that deals with our local landfill, we are subject to get a reimbursement for the past, I'll say it was 10 years, no one has submitted one. I went forward, we went with AEM, which is our engineer that does our landfill. They said that they could prepare it. I'm familiar with them, but did not want to mess up doing the first one and us not get it back. So they are charging us a 3%, which we had already talked to the county administrator, and he said that would be fine. We originally submitted a request for $105,000 reimbursement to the county. after dealing with EPD, we had a small little hiccup. It's gone up to $119,000. So Miss Margie has a resolution that y'all need to sign. I've already got the contract here, and it will be sent overnight back to Atlanta to get us a check.
All
Just
right.
to make it official, I've got a motion to accept this money.
So moved, Chairman.
And second.
All right, any more discussion? Third, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. You don't get opportunity to object on that one.
I believe it's 3 on that one.
So I do need to get some signatures.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
And I
three
think you
signatures.
have to attest that, and we've already taken care of the contract. I had to sign that since I was the one that had submitted it in, and it's already been attested by Miss Margie.
Thank you very much.
So,
It's
Great
great
job.
news.
get some cash back.
There you go.
Good deal.
Thank you.
We like that. Thank you. Have a great Fourth. You want to say something, Mr. Commissioner Martin?
Oh, no, I thought he was about to say something.
No, I was just gonna go right into the next item.
Okay, next item.
Intergovernmental agreement with the Board of Education for paving as an alternate 2 bid under the 218 LMIG. Mr. Risner?
Mr. Chairman, and board members, you'll recall that as part of our LMIG bidding process, we included one project for the Board of Education, resurfacing of a parking lot there near the football field. We received a bid amount of a little over $25,000 for that work. The school board has indicated to us that they'd like to proceed with that. And I believe the original motion of this board was to approve the contract, including that alternate, contingent upon the school board accepting it. What I've got before you here tonight is just a simple intergovernmental agreement between the two bodies that basically states that yes, the school board does want to exercise the option to have this work done, and that we will allow them to do that, and it states that they'll reimburse us for the money spent on that. So just kind of formalizing the understanding we had before.
We just need a motion for the intergovernmental agreement.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion and a second.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thank you. All right, award bid for 2018 Chevrolet Tahoe four-wheel drive special service vehicle for the sheriff's department. Oh, this was tabled. I should have read it on before I got that close. At least I read it. All right, approval for the IGA design agreement with Schneider Electric. Who's handling that?
Mr. Chairman, I can start off, and Commissioner Kitchens may have some comments, and then we have Alyssa Hovland with Schneider Electric here tonight as well, if y'all have questions of her. You'll recall that we went through a selection process for an energy services company. We received 2 proposals there. The board selected Schneider Electric. We've had some preliminary meetings with them about the work that we'd like to explore. The next step in this process is a investment grade audit where they come in and spend a great deal of time going through our facilities, taking a detailed look at what exactly we have in place, and from lighting, HVAC, and a number of other phone and a number of other elements to see what we have in place, what they might be able to bring in that would result in some savings, and that process is pretty labor intensive, and so they would have personnel here for a good amount of time doing all that work. So what they ask communities to do is to enter into an agreement that basically says if we go through and do all this work on the front end, and then you elect not to undertake any of these projects, then you will owe us an amount of money.
$46,130.
Yes, to compensate for that work that they complete. And so I think, in talking with Commissioner Kitchens and others, I think even if we opt not to do all of it or some large scale project, I think we do have some things like lighting that we feel pretty confident at this stage that we'd want to move forward with. And as long as we do some element of the proposed project, then we're not on the hook for the $46,000 amount. So with that, I'll turn it over to Commissioner Kitchens for any comments he might have, if any, and we have Alyssa here with Schneider Electric as well, and then I'll be happy to answer any questions y'all might have.
I think you did a pretty fine job of explaining it there.
Thank you.
County manager, administrator. Yeah, unless anybody's got some questions, this we gave us a list of baseline savings that we could recognize if we done everything. We would these are all of our buildings and what some of the potential savings are, and this is a pie in the sky look at it. We may not opt for all of them. We may opt heavier on some than others, but I think for an investment grade audit, these engineers come in and look at every piece of equipment, every air conditioner, every light, every the doors, the walls, the windows, everything, down to the model number, serial number, how much tonnage, how many horsepower, fans, blowers, all this stuff, to do it in detailed report. So there's a lot of work through the engineering department to bring you a proposal to say, here's exactly what we can guarantee you we would save. I want to be real clear that as we move forward, now's the time we bring in other partners into it, the sheriff's department, the maintenance department, guys that are would know what they're looking for. Sheriff obviously is going to need to be a big partner in it, what we can do within the confines of the security side of it, because the courthouse and the jail and all is a totally different baby than open buildings and stuff. So just from what I know about energy management, we'll definitely have some savings on the lighting side of it, on the VoIP side of it, and probably some on mechanical side of it for sure. Maybe some water savings that are pretty short ROIs and pretty short investments that we would get. So I don't see us ever having to pay the contingency of not going forward with a project. So,
Any other questions?
Yes, sir. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was going to yield to the younger person in the room.
So, and
I just got through.
So for an example, I would like to ask, and I guess, what is our plan for paying for any upgrades, that are identified? And also, we'll talk about small projects before I jump on the larger projects. But being that we know that certain things that can be done, replacing lighting with LED, why isn't that something that we can do? Because we know it'll be a savings. Why can't we do that versus hiring someone to tell us we need to make those repairs, those adjustments, when we know those are some things that we can do ourselves, in our office, or hire someone to do it versus paying somebody to tell us that this is what you need to do?
Mr. Kitchen, you want to comment?
I can absolutely speak for Mr. Bobby on this one, because I've been in that position that long. We can do it.
Okay.
We don't have the upfront funds to buy. If we've got 10,000 light fixtures, we can't buy 10,000 ballasts, 10,000 fixtures, 10,000 LED bulbs up front, and then dedicate the manpower to go and change them all at one time, which is part of your savings plan. If you change, it's almost like replacing one fuse, one light bulb, or rotating one tire on your car at a time. You just don't do that. Otherwise, you're going to change out these bulbs one by one, and then when they start going out, you're doing them one by one. You save money by replacing them all, and you got the 10-year factory warranty or a 10-year life expectancy on a bulb. The maintenance savings from the guys not having to change a bulb for 10 years, as a maintenance director, he'll love all of us.
And the funny thing is, Bobby's been telling us this for 5 years.
Right.
And we haven't done it.
Right.
So,
But I guess the question is, why wouldn't we just bid it out? I mean, that we know that this is something that's needed.
And part of that is upfront cost. I mean, if we have $200,000 or $300,000 we could throw at the problem, which my assumption is if we had that, we would have done it 5 years ago. With this, and I'll just use round numbers, if we borrowed $10,000 and we're looking at a $12,000 savings in our energy cost, their actual $12,000 that we paid last year, we take $10,000 of that and pay the debt on what we borrowed to do it day one. And then we only save $2,000, but we've got new equipment and the maintenance costs are down on it. And that's where we recognize our savings. So the guaranteed performance saving part of it is where the engineers come in and say, we guarantee you'll save this to pay your debt. So there's no out of pocket money for it. If you don't, we cover the difference with a check.
Right. And remember, again, Bobby's been telling us this for years, and almost every year we've cut the money out of Bobby's budget, which has made it even worse. So we've kicked the can down the road as long as we can. When you look at these savings, and again, even at a low of 15%, you're talking almost $78,000, and that's the point to which Sam is speaking. It will pay for itself, and someone else is going to do the legwork to find the financing and do the hard work while we keep doing what we do and while our department heads do what they do. And the simplest answer or example I have is an electric car. If I park my Escalade and I drive a Leaf, it pays for itself, because to fill the Escalade up is $130 a week and the Leaf is $199 a month. It pays for itself. And then we get the profit on the end when it's really working and we're truly saving some money.
I'll give you an example I used to use with my board all the time. And if you were going to build a house, you wouldn't do it with one carpenter, the entire house. You wouldn't rewire it with one electrician. That's what we would equate to with Bobby and our staff. We couldn't dedicate all of our staff because everything else would get neglected. So I don't think, not that we don't have the qualified staff to do it, we don't have the number of staff to do it and still maintain our buildings. Otherwise, we're admitting that they're just sitting around all day waiting on something to do. And I don't think that's happening. So,
Mr. Robinson, any question or comment?
Well, I certainly respect everybody's opinion and ideas, but what I have to do, I guess from being from the country, is I have to make something more simple than what it appears. And I use my own household as an example. I can't afford to buy all new light fixtures because they'll save on the light bill. As one goes out, I'll replace it. I can't afford to buy a brand new air conditioning unit because this other one will save money on the power bill. And when mine goes out, then I may purchase that one. I have an old truck. I can't afford to get rid of it to buy a newer one that gets better gas mileage. And we don't have the money. We don't have any budgeted money for this. I don't see this kind of money being budgeted in the next budget. And no disrespect to Bibb County, we don't have the money that they used to have. But that's the way it looks to me. And yeah, and as Commissioner Martin said, an electric car will save you money on your per mile, but I can't afford to go out and buy an electric car. I think there are other ways to accomplish this, and along Commissioner Pitts' line of thinking, we don't have to use Bobby Bonner's men. We can do one room at a time with part-time labor. There may be such a thing as interns from Central Georgia Technical College who may jump at the chance to do some electrical work or heating and air. I know everything that the county owns is going to tear up one day. There's no doubt it is. But at my house, I have to wait until I have to, because I don't have the money, and I don't think we have it either. I know you can show the savings here on paper, but it's the same way at my house. I couldn't do it, and I do respect the idea and the different opinions, but that's the way I have to look at it.
And Chairman, also, go ahead, excuse me.
Thank you. And I would say this, if Georgia Power sent us an offer that said, hey, we'll replace all the lighting in your house, all the HVAC, all your refrigerators, all your stoves, all your microwaves, and we won't change your electric bill. We're going to use the difference in what it costs and what you save to pay for all those appliances. The question is, would we raise our hand and do it? And the short answer to that is yes, because they are doing it for us. In essence, that's what this body will be doing, is finding the entity to finance that for us and using the savings to pay for it. So we're not going to experience anything different short of being obligated to pay this debt if we don't do anything. If we look at voice over internet only, that's saving $34,000. That just about covers the cost to do this engineering. And if you go up to the law enforcement center, there's another $21,000. I'm a firm believer in being as energy efficient as we can. Bobby's been telling us for years, and if we don't trust our department head to do that, we've got some issues. The other reality is they did a preliminary study and they handed us a book, and I hope you looked at it because I did. We've got AC units, Jonathan, that are almost as old as you and I. Seriously. But we know it's going to happen. It's not an old Ram or old Chevy where you go take a couple pieces out and it works. But we just replaced the library. I mean, we replaced the AC units at the library. It was like $30-something thousand, right? I mean, so we know that these systems are going to fail. As a good steward of the county's resources, and I believe that I am, I know that this is the right way to go. I don't know the total savings, and I don't know the total cost. But based on their estimate, we're going to save way more than we're spending. And we get new stuff that you all will get to live with, and our children will get to live with long after we're gone. So with that being said, Mr. Chair, I'm going to motion that we approve the IGA design agreement with Schneider Electric.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
So some discussion, Mr. Chairman.
Sure.
And the additional questions I was going to ask, so the potential savings, which is identified, but then what is going to be the loan payment on that debt? And then the other question is, so after 10 years, when all these items need to be replaced, that's on us to make the replacements on some of the things, lighting or other items that may, after 10, 20 years. And I mean, the loan payment, is it a 10-year loan, a 20-year loan? And that's just the concern that after 20 years, we paid it off. Now we got to come up with, making this up, another $100,000 to make improvements or replace some of the items that have been improved over that period of time. So that's just the concern that I have with that.
The short answer, Jonathan, is you do it again. Because our AC units have gone through at least 3 iterations since I've been in Georgia, from 13 SEER, where are we out now? Almost 17, 18. So when I got here, I think it was 10 SEER, we went 13, 15, and all of those are improvements that save us money. A light bulb's not going to last forever. That lighting ballast is not going to last forever. T12s went out, I don't know when. You and I were in school when T12s were in. They weren't. No, just kidding. But we're at LED, and did we get to LED yet?
No, these look like T8s.
All right. We're not even there.
So we're 3 generations back, T12, T8, T5.
And we're paying for it.
Right.
High value.
But I guess, and then last comment, Mr. Chairman, and you call for the vote. But it's just, I would rather almost have you as a licensed electrician do everything in here versus paying Mr. Robinson $10,000 to tell you what you have to do when you're smart enough to know, well, Jonathan, this is what you need. Just take out that loan and pay you and just be done with it. Because I'm paying Mr. Robinson to tell me what I need when you're a licensed electrician. You know what I need, and I'm just going to pay you.
We bid out jobs when our departments have capacity to do it. Whether it's the road crew or plumbing or water.
And the thing is, I wouldn't consider you as being the maintenance department. You're just a licensed electrician that you put in a bid for this project because you know what we need. They did the research, and we trust your recommendation, and we go with you and your recommendation. So that's just it, Mr. Chairman.
Sure. Well, Chairman's got a comment too. I don't mind. When I saw the 46-130, I took a deep breath because I really didn't know we were talking about that much to start off with, but I did keep hearing as far as the savings would offset. I mean, everything they presented us was the savings would cover the payment, and they're prepared to stand behind it, which that makes me feel, I don't like spending money either, John. I see where you're coming from as far as won't we do this ourselves?
Right.
But they're guaranteeing us the savings. And if we don't see that savings, they strike us a check. That's,
So guaranteed. We don't save the money, they write us a check.
and that's why, like I said, when I saw the 46,130, I'm going, man, I don't remember that number being that high. But, we didn't really get in that detail, but it did. What gives me comfort. I'm on both sides. I'm Peter Tony. I'm just like you. I'll be honest with you, if it was me doing it, I'd be sitting there getting this thing bid, but I don't have the time but I'm talking to say as far as our staff.
Right.
Also,
and like I said, I don't want our staff to do it. I'm hiring a licensed, martin electrician to come in and do it, not our maintenance department.
What we're getting with Snyder's been there, do this every day company. They know we're not going to be, the mistake's going to be on them.
Mm-hmm.
If we do something we shouldn't have done, it's going to be on us.
Right.
So many times people think they can build their own house. They realize it costs them more in the long run to build their own house when they could have contracted somebody out that does that. That's the part of me telling me that this is the
right way to
this
go.
is the right we need to go. Number one, they're guaranteeing our savings.
Mm-hmm.
If not, they strike us a check. They're doing this every day. They've got if something's not right, it's on them, not on us. It's not gonna be our mistake.
Yeah.
Chairman, we could absolutely do that. We could absolutely borrow the money. We could take it out of general fund. We could do whatever and fund this project. The issue we're gonna have is the staff that's gonna know what's the latest product out there. Because if you say, I'm gonna hire a licensed electrician, that electrician is gonna go to his manufacturer that he uses, and I'm gonna put Sylvania bulbs in here. They're the greatest because I get a good cut from the Sylvania rep. And I'm gonna put Sylvania here. This is what you need. So you're depending on the manufacturer design and what product they put in bases your savings amount. And like Commissioner Robinson said that, there is a time when you gotta decide, and we have to decide, are we gonna replace an air conditioner that's 5 years old because it's 20% more efficient? Probably not. But if it's 20 years old and we know we've only got 5 more years, then we forego, can we limp it along another 2, 3, 4, 5 years? That 20% savings is gonna pay for that life expectancy we still had on that unit. So he's absolutely right. The savings that we get from not replacing one bulb at a time is in itself is the manpower that we have to change the bulbs every single day to take a ladder and change a bulb somewhere. If they're all new, then they're under warranty for 10 years. So if the bulb goes out, we still don't, even if we have to take somebody to change it, we still don't pay for it. Somebody else pays for it. We also structure the deal so that the financial side of it, so that we're not paying after the life expectancy of the equipment. So if it's we structure an 8-year deal and we got a 10-year warranty on it. So we know for 2 years after our warranty or after our payments are done, we're recognizing 100% of that savings, whether it's 20% or 25% of our project.
I can say with our current HVAC system, air conditioner systems, the age of them and the fact that the factories keep changing the different, freons and whatever you're using, we're at the most expensive you can get right now. I know for a fact, I just had a bill come in today and I could have literally changed the system cheaper I could have changed the system for the same price as I repaired this one for. But lady was out of air conditioning wasn't working and the biggest thing was, guess what? You don't get this freon anymore. You're going to pay dearly for it. And I kind of think it's a game they play to keep you having to update your systems, but I literally could have bought a unit for almost what I paid for repair. And I didn't do a major repair. It's just because of the age of that unit was so old.
Right.
Cool and fine now, but I paid dearly for it when I could have had a new one there with a warranty. So. Any more discussion? None? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Opposed.
4-1. Move to old business, funding sources for water main on Gray. Oh,
We have new business number 5.
oh, I forgot one. Keep me straight.
She will.
And she does a great job, don't she? Let me go back now. Request to add approval of new contract for probation supervisory services for GMP as new business number 5. Please present that one.
Mr. Chairman, I can talk a little bit, and Margie might can add to the discussion as well. This is a contract for misdemeanor probation services and for our Superior Court. And this agreement has been reviewed and approved by Judge Pryor, who's the Chief Judge of the circuit. And all the fees that would be collected from the probationers pay the company that would do the probation services. So this is not something where we'd have to come out of pocket to pay for. That's about all I have. Margie, any other?
Of course, it's with Georgia Probation Management. And it will replace the one that was in effect in February.
Any questions or discussion?
So do we have any guarantee our costs are not going up, or do we have how long is the contract?
The contract has a sheet with it that goes over the cost.
Page 8.
Pardon?
Page 8.
That back page, okay.
Yeah. But there's no guarantee. And I can say from what I've seen over the years, there hasn't been much of an increase with most of these services. And I don't know if it's a mandate or they're just being competitive, but it's been pretty flat.
And it looks, as best I can tell, the term of this agreement, it runs from August 1st of this year to December 31st of this year. And then you have options for 1-year renewals on January 1st of each year. So I think we've got opportunities to get out.
And they want a calendar year contract. So we're extending one through the end of this calendar year and then start. How many consecutive 1-year agreements can we? Up to 3, usually.
Let's see. It says so this contract shall automatically renew for specific 1-year terms on January 1st of each year thereafter, under the same terms and conditions as provided herein, unless written notice the contrary is directed to the other party. Said automatic renewal shall continue for a maximum period of 4 years.
4 years.
And then the next paragraph says the county shall have the option to renew the contract for 5 additional 1-year intervals, provided that the service is satisfactory, both parties are willing to renew, and the renewal is approved with the written consent of the county.
So basically, we can approve it at the same rates every year if we just want to keep going through with it.
I think so.
Which gives us a little bit of cushion there of holding them to the same price.
Mhm.
We just don't redo it and negotiate it or bid it.
Right.
Any more questions or discussion? No, we have a motion on the floor.
So move.
Second.
Second. Any more discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Oh, ayes have it. Thank you. Now we go to old business. Funding sources for water main on Gray Highway South from Door Cliff Road.
Mr. Chairman, I'll take that one. Tim wasn't able to be with us tonight, and we've got Jeffrey here for any comments he might have too. But Tim and I and Levita kind of talked some after our last meeting, and I think you'll recall the price of the work in that Gray Highway area was about $193,000. So we've talked about different options there. We've got 2 different under the water department. We've got 2 different accounts, a construction account and then a construction savings account. And you'll recall earlier this year, we talked about several different projects that we'll be able to fund out of that construction account. We've been able to, just with operating efficiencies and so forth, been able to add additional money into that construction account. The construction savings account, I think currently has about $150,000 And in talking with Levita, she's going to be able to move additional money into that construction savings account to get it up over $200,000. So sort of the conversation that she and I had and with Tim was, if we've got the money sitting there in that account that's sufficient or close to sufficient to be able to do the project. My recommendation to you would be to just leave that money sitting in that account. If we have a prospect that is looking at that area that needs the water, and we can get adequate assurances from them that they are going to go forward with the project, then you have the money there to draw from to do it. And I'd also be interested in talking with some economic development folks about how you structure a deal like that so that you can ensure that, look, we don't go spend $200,000 and then nothing happened there. So so that was kind of our thought on how you might fund something there. If Tim said he had also worked on similar setups where there was a cost sharing arrangement with the developer that was coming in. So that's something we could look at as well. So I think you've got some options there. My recommendation would be just to leave that money sitting there until we have one on the line, so to speak, that needs that water.
Good. Would we earmark that? Because I think at some point we got to be able to guarantee the prospect. We can't tout, hey, we can have this 10-inch water main here within 6 months if you're planning on building here, and then go, oh yeah, we spent that on so and so last year. But if we earmark it for that, how are we going to be able to do that?
I may have to check on that. Maybe you don't want to earmark it just in case you have a better prospect somewhere else.
You tie
maybe you don't want to tie your hands in.
But then again, if I were a prospect, you wouldn't give me the warm fuzzy saying, trust me, I'll get you water there.
Right.
Now, I want to see something in writing that you got the funds and you got the will of the board to do that.
Yeah. You might have to follow kind of a first come, first serve type. A prospect comes to you and prospect number one comes to you and says, hey, we think we want to do something. We say, okay, well, we've got sufficient money sitting there. If you're ready to go, we've got it ready.
And I'm by all means comfortable with that healthy construction fund, because I think that's what it's for. And I think that's a good thing that we can have that healthy fund.
We can just almost have like a generic letter. And look, we have X amount of dollars, allocated for water improvements if you're going to do making this up, $1 million worth of improvements or economic development to an area. And you can just simply change it from Martin Electric to Robinson Construction to whichever prospects that comes, to let them know that we are serious and we have X amount of dollars allocated to assist you, or at least to put water in place if you guys decide to move in the area.
Sure. Well, we've made the right step as far as being able to approve and to go that. I know it's like with any economic development project, they're not going to tell you until they come. They don't want competitors knowing. And I don't know. I did get 3 calls. They didn't give me the exact particulars like with any, but there was a need, and I just I guess what we need, we've already made a decision. Yes, we can do it. I guess we need to know timeline. Yes, they are coming. What their needs are going to be. I see you smiling, Mr. Martin.
And y'all know why I'm probably smiling. If we build it, they will come, versus everything we see in economic development says they use the checkbox to disqualify you up front. So you don't have water, moving on to the next county. It's not we're going to negotiate or pre-negotiate. If that was the case, our industrial park should be full, right? Because theoretically, we could build water if we knew Tractor Supply was coming. Yeah. We could have got Amazon, right? Theoretically. But, and again, as I've sat through these courses for a couple of years, you have to have it in place normally when someone's making contact, because they've already made a decision. That's the place we want to go. Now, how do we exclude them? and no water, they're moving on. You've had the conversations, you know who's called you, because you're on that team that gets that information. If we had water in place, would that have made a difference?
Well, there was, can we get it there? And, they're wanting to come. The biggest issue was fire protection.
And so that's another issue. It's not just water, it's fire protection.
Right, and that was the first thing, we need fire protection, that this is what we're gonna put in. So obviously water too, but fire protection was a lot of commercial development. They've got to, might be sprinkler system, whatever they have to go in there. I don't see why we couldn't go and poll the current people on that road now with commitment letters that, yes, we will tap onto this line. Just like Commissioner Martin said, it's a it's a checkbox, and if we're not there, they're not going.
Well, Chairman, I guess this is not putting too much of the knowledge that you have, because you are in that position to do that economic development. Are you comfortable with a consensus from this board that the money, the funding, the source is there to talk to anybody that's a potential prospect and say, yes, I got a commitment to do it. And if they say, well, then let's go, then bring it back to the board and let's vote to do it. Sure. And if they say, well, it's a catch-22, if we're looking at 4 other spots and they already got it here, that's all in the relationship you have with whatever the prospect is. If it's somebody that's looking to come in that area already, then they want to be there for a reason. It might be a relationship where you can say, not a problem, we can get the water there. And give me 2 weeks to vote on it and 6 weeks to get it in the ground.
Sure.
Because I can foresee it being, the relationship better than we do. It's just almost like Tractor Supply, where they wanted to come and they're willing to work with us, negotiate, but we couldn't come to the table what they wanted. So, being that you have the relationship, then you let us know what we need to do to make it happen.
Calls, and the contacts they've had right now is just ironic. I had 3 in that one area, and they weren't, they were the areas they were, saying they were needed at. And I too want to know that, yes, we do this. Is this going to happen? I'd love to have that guarantee, because I just don't like spending $200,000 to say, hey, we got water now.
And another question to pose to you too, Chairman, and the board as well. We don't spend $200,000 for a $200,000 project either. You know what I mean? You want to make sure it's a couple of $1 million project versus just putting it in the ground. Exactly.
Sure. I agree 100%.
I'm not throwing egg or anything, but we spent a couple hundred in Haddock to connect to Baldwin, and that doesn't generate any economic development. It's a backup in our mind that we've never had to use. We spent over $1 million and some change going up Gray Highway for new business. I don't think anybody's tapped on Gray Highway yet, right? That was $1 million some change. And again, I'm only going to legitimate the prospects because they came from the chairman. Right. If I heard the street committee, I'll go, yeah, whatever. But because they came from the chairman, I'm going to legitimate it and say it's valid. Then I'm also going to say we designed the construction 1, construction 2 account for this reason. When the bypass was coming in, we ran water all the way out here. We didn't have to do that for a contractor, but we did it because it was efficient and it made sense. Plus, we looked at the long-term benefit of what it could do for this area. And Gray Highway is our economic engine. From the time you hit the Jones County line to the other end, it's our economic engine. To put $193,000 in the ground on the end of a $2 million water line project, I think it's the right thing to do, considering we got legitimate prospects and we have the resources. If we didn't, or we had a better option, then I would go, okay, don't do it. And I wouldn't want to delay a potential customer 6 months. And again, water protection, fire protection. Fire protection is going to benefit everybody over there. I'm pretty confident Reeves Construction would be happy and ecstatic. The gas station that's over there, maybe even the churches, because their insurance will reflect the fact that they have fire protection.
Well, I'll do some more research, because like I said, I want to put the chairman's head on the block right by himself, just to, he said, well, you said, well, that's what they asked, so, but I will do some research, because I too would like to have a little, assurance that what we're doing is going to be utilized in the right manner. And, so I will do some more research for the board and get back with you to see, how strong a prospect they have, if it's and go forward. But again, like I said, there's a lot of, I have some, Johnson's laughing at me. Well, you know, remember, you're chairing economic development now.
And listen, I'm all for it. And I mean,
Well,
what
but
I was going to mention is if you feel like we need to have a call meeting, then please do that. So if we
Sure.
need to move, then we need to move.
Absolutely.
So
But
please
just,
understand that.
just so we're clear, we have consensus that if it was a legitimate prospect,
Mhm.
we do it.
Right.
So move.
That's fair enough.
All right, thank you. All right, going forward, department heads. Mr. Jackson, you want to go first?
All right, everything good.
Mr. Pelkey?
Yeah, I've got a question,
Sure.
speaking about electricity, actually. Going through our budgets, electricity is one of the biggest line items that I have, and there's something I've been interested in is solar. Would it be a viable option for a department like me? Would I be working with Schneider Electric or something like this, or do I take another option?
It's definitely something we can look at on the energy because it's a full-scale energy service agreement, so we can look at everything. And solar is great, but it's not for everything.
Yeah, that's
you
right.
know,
That's
I mean, your heavy pumps, they're hard to generate enough power for it. If you were pumping up at night to the top of a tank that's gravity fed, you could pump it during the day off the power, off grid or off peak load at night, shift a little of the load to the pump at night. You're talking a lot of savings there. But yeah, absolutely want you involved because not only that, but in the water department altogether, they're going to need to look at all the, can we change out some pumps? Can we do this? Can we do that? Does it make sense to do it?
Before we get
go ahead.
past him, I got a call from Alton West like the other night about some dogs in the neighborhood, and he shot me a picture of it, and they're just kind of hanging out. Did you get a phone call about that as well?
Where's that?
I forget the street that he lives on. He just shot me.
District 4?
District 4.
It's not that hard, John.
Several calls, man.
Yeah, so they're just hanging out in the yard, and he wanted somebody to come by, and I told him I'd see you tonight. So
Lives off the Masterville Road.
yeah, so you got the call. Okay, very good. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Petrowski, we thank you. We didn't try to put you under the bus tonight. That's better.
Sign my check every
We thank you. Mr. Resner?
Oh, and I got one for water too. I did get a call. There's some clearing happening in the back of Sun Valley. Is that progress on? Thank you. All right, I hadn't heard anything, so.
Mr. Resner?
Just a few things that I'm well aware that I'm kind of standing between us and a holiday, so I'll make this quick. We're working with the Chamber of Commerce and the school board to do a session next week called Doing Business with Jones County, where Carol Miller with the school board has taken the lead on getting this organized and just going to invite vendors in, teach them how to teach them the school board's procurement process, talk to them about our procurement process. There's the Georgia Procurement Registry that became mandatory 2 days ago, I guess. Going to talk to them some about how they can access that and find jobs through that. Talk about how they can find jobs with bid opportunities with the school board and with us. And along those lines, we're going to be signing up with a web-based platform called Vendor Registry, and that's what the school board uses. That's what Putnam uses, Meriwether County, Peach County, a good many counties in this area. It'll give us a place where we can keep all our bid information. It'll give us a good database of vendors where we can hit a button and send bid opportunities to vendors that are interested in particular types of projects. And so we're going to be working over the next several weeks to get that up and running, and hopefully that'll improve our procurement processes. Library construction is well underway. I don't know if y'all have been by there. Lots of activity there. We had a meeting on site a couple days ago on Monday with the architect and the contractor, and things are really going well. Basically, all the demolition is finished inside the building. They've done all the saw cutting in the floor to run electric and plumbing and that type of thing. And so things are really moving along there. They're 90% of the way finished with the demolition phase of it. All the demolition that remains is the one outside wall that will eventually come down. So making good progress there. And then the last thing I was going to mention to you, our transportation enhancement project, we'll have our pre-construction meeting July 13th. So we're looking forward to getting that project started.
All right, very well. Commissioner Martin, would you like to start us off tonight on commissioner comment?
Yes, sir. Just wanted to wish everybody a safe and happy holiday. I wish it was on a Friday so we could have got you out of here. But it is what it is, maybe next year. Thank you for all the hard work. Be safe. I'm excited that we have an opportunity to do some savings for the county, because I think any savings that we are able to do, I think we should be able to pass those savings back on to our constituents and really to our employees as well. And hopefully we'll be able to leverage some of this and secure some potential prospect to get us some revenue. So thank you.
Commissioner Robinson?
I want to congratulate all the employees of Jones County. They continue to set records with the safety. It's remarkable how far it's come, and it's a lot of savings to the taxpayers, and the employees are getting to go home with their fingers and toes. Amen. So I want to thank them all.
Thank you. Commissioner Pitt?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Just echo what Commissioner Martin, Commissioner Robinson mentioned. Thank you to employees for all the hard work they do. Thank Tiffany for what she came up with tonight to save the county some money, and as well as Commissioner Kitchens to come up with this proposal right here, the potential some savings for the county. Whenever we can save something, it's always a great thing. Along the lines of economic development, I was actually at the Inclusive Playground this past weekend, and had some people there from Monroe, Georgia, and one of my coworkers from Dublin was actually there playing ball at the expansion. So in the area of economic development, I've asked Matt to reach out to the chamber and to hopefully get our local restaurants to come up with some type of incentive to maybe pass out flyers while these people are there playing travel ball tournaments to encourage them to spend money in town. So with every little dollar they spend here in Gray, it helps out our SPOS funds, it helps out with our capital improvement projects. So, I mean, economic development can be huge, major construction projects, but then again, it can be little small things like that, because every dollar does add up. So hopefully that's going to be a little small tick in our economic development plan, because I also feel like it's a puzzle. You know, it's got little small pieces and then you have big pieces, but every piece makes a difference. And just encourage everybody to have a happy, safe 4th of July.
Thank you. Commissioner Kitchen?
I agree, echo what all three of the commissioners have said about the employees and the great job they're doing safely. As someone said, the eve of our independence. Be thankful for the freedoms that we enjoy each and every day, and thank the people that provided them and still provide them every day for us. Be safe, happy holidays. Think about the pets with all the fireworks, guns, and all that good stuff. You know, they're going to go crazy. But I would also like to say thank you to this board. I don't know that y'all realize how well this board works together. Even when we disagree on issues and we vote differently on issues, I honestly believe that we all have the community, the county, the residents, and the finances of this county at heart and at interest in every decision we make. We may go at them different ways, and that's okay, that's good. But this board is a lot better than a lot of them that I see. And not pointing any fingers anywhere, but we do things right, and just I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Citizen comments. Anybody like to come forward? Nobody like to come forward tonight? I need some help, Commissioner.
Oh, Mr. Chairman, make the motion that we adjourn.
All in favor, aye? Thank you. Thank everybody for coming. Tim, thank you.
Thanks.